Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to look at a slightly longer term daily Forex chart on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. But as usual, we start with our risk disclaimer. Just remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. Put another way, whatever trading approach you take, there always will be losing trades. It doesn't matter what how you approach trading, there always will be losing trades, and it's important to accept that as a professional trader. Right, so this is a daily chart of the US dollar, Canadian dollar, and I want to have a look at this DP buy setup here. Remember, MTPredictor is not a black box system where we just blindly take all our automatic setups. The reason for this is because about half the time markets are random. In other words, there's no discernible clear pattern. They're just basically random, and it's very difficult to do any kind of analysis at all. So what we're looking for are periods or times when the market is getting into a clear pattern, and for that we go to a higher time frame chart. For this we use time frames between 3 and 5 time frames higher. So in this case, on a daily chart, you'd go out to the weekly. I just want to move back in time a bit. Just going to use our training mode to jump back to here a bit, and what we do is we place in our DPs on our chart. So you can see here there was a pivot low. Well, we're not using the trend, or we're not using the setups on this higher time frame chart. We're just purely and simply placing our decision points out on the weekly chart there, so they're there in advance. You see that's how it's on the chart in advance before the market even gets there. If I turn training mode off, you can see this is what the Canadian dollar did. It came down into that weekly support, started to rally. So the way we use this is when we come down to the time frame we're looking to trade, we look to see whether there's support coming in at the higher time, or a setup coming in at the higher time frame support. So if I again use our training mode and I jump back to here, you can see this is what the picture was at the time. The MTP trend was blue stroke black, in other words showing that the market trend was up or in the process of making a reversal. But the important thing is this setup came in at our higher time frame support. Can you see that? So we had a daily DP buy with a blue buy reversal bar at our weekly support level. In other words, the picture was becoming clear. So this is when we look to try and do our trade setups. So we now right mouse click, do analysis, and this then gives us our trade setup. Remember, we use position sizing to keep our initial risk small and under control, so when the losses come through, and there always will be losing trades, the losses will be kept small at one risk unit. We are taking 2% of a sample $20,000 account. That will mean with these entry and stop levels, that will be going long 8 mini lots. If the market gets up to this level here, the profit would be just under 6R, so 5.9R. If I turn training mode off, you can see the market is actually rallying quite nicely as the market's going up to this level. It hasn't reached this yet. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for trade setups when the picture's clear. In other words, when we get support or resistance at our higher time frame support and resistance levels, and we have our trade setups on our shorter time frame charts. That's then correspond with our MTP trend color, so everything's coming together to give us a clear picture. So we'll have to wait and see over the next few days or weeks to see whether the market does indeed carry on rallying and whether it does indeed get up to that level. Just want to see if there's any losing trades here that I can have a look at. Not on that particular market. Just give me a second, because I want to just include a losing trade in this just for balancing it up. I'll just pause the video while I have a look at some other cross rates. Right, okay, here's a slightly shorter time frame on the pound, which we were looking at in our members training session earlier in the week, which is on a 4-hourly chart with the higher time frame resistances off the 8-hourly chart. You can see we had a very nice VS sell earlier, which came down to its target, but then we also had a valid VS buy setup here as well at this higher time frame support. And as you can see, if I right mouse click here, do analysis, you can see this would have been a losing trade. I think in the webinar I said it probably wasn't a great trade, because even if it reached the target, it would only be a plus 2.4R profit. But the point being is that if you had have taken this, this would have been a losing trade. And I just wanted to show that in the video, because it's important to make sure that you understand that losses can and will and do unfold, and that there will be losing trades no matter what trading approach you take. But because we use position sizing, again, this is the 2% risk on a sample $20,000 account, the loss would have been 1R or minus 1R. Right, so I'm just going to go back to that Canadian dollar chart, go back to our time frame we're looking at, which is the daily chart, and just leave it on there. So this is what we're looking at, where we had a daily DP buy coming at weekly support, and as you can see, the market is rallying nicely. Obviously we wouldn't be looking at that sell setup because our MTP trend is blue and the larger degree trend is up. So let's see how this unfolds over the days and weeks ahead.